Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about something I think we all think about sometimes, um, finding that perfect job.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're going to be looking at this really interesting guide called Descubre el trabajo ideal. 10 preguntas clave para definir tu próximo paso profesional. And before you think this is like another job hunting guide, it's not.
Yeah.
It's more about going deeper.
Yeah, this guy, it's fascinating because it's almost like a self-discovery thing before you even start like polishing your resume.
Okay.
It's like when you're building a house, you don't just start building, you have to have a strong foundation first.
I like that. Okay, so
Uh,
where do we start with this foundation?
Well, the guide starts right away with focusing on values.
Okay.
It says, reflexiona sobre lo que es más importante para ti, integridad, creatividad, equilibrio, etc. Which basically means, what are those core values you just absolutely cannot compromise on?
Makes sense. I mean, you're going to be spending 40 plus hours a week at this place.
Yeah.
To better align with what you believe in. What happens if you know your job and your values clash all the time?
Well, then you're going to have some inner turmoil for sure, and you're probably going to end up hating your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine like betraying your principles just to get a paycheck.
No.
It's not good.
So how do you prevent this from happening? Do you interview potential employers and ask them all these questions about, are they ethical?
Well, you have to know your own values first. Like, what are your top three?
Yeah.
Like, are you all about creativity and being innovative, or is it like collaboration and teamwork?
Okay.
Or is it like a work-life balance kind of thing? Once you have a good idea about those, then you can start looking to see if a company's actions match up with what you believe.
So less about grilling the hiring manager and more about observing how they actually operate.
Exactly. And looking at their mission statement and how they treat their employees.
Okay.
It's about finding a company that lets you be yourself, where you don't feel like you have to compromise your values all the time.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way, but that's true. So we lay the foundation with values. What's the next step?
So then the guide focuses on skills.
Mm-hmm.
It wants you to look at the strengths you already have and then think about what you want to learn.
So not just what you're good at, but what you want to get better at.
Exactly. It's like a two-pronged approach. Recognizing what you're good at helps you use your strengths to market yourself.
Right.
But it's important to know what you want to learn, too. This makes you more adaptable, and it opens doors to jobs that you might not have thought about before.
So I tell an employer that I'm really interested in learning new things that could actually make me a better candidate.
Oh, for sure. Because it shows them that you are all about growth and that you're willing to invest in yourself, and that's something any company would like.
Okay.
But it's more than that, because when you are actively looking for chances to learn new things, it helps you go after jobs that really excite you, even if you don't perfectly fit the description.
That's good to hear, because it takes the pressure off from needing to be perfect right now. Right?
So I should be thinking about a skill I'm good at that I can bring to a new job, and maybe a skill I'm really interested in learning that could open up new possibilities.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
Right.
Recognizing what you're worth now and being open to what might be possible in the future.
This is starting to sound like a choose your own adventure.
I like that.
Oh.
And speaking of choices, the next section is all about company culture.
Company culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some pretty bad stories about workplaces that make even the best jobs sound awful. How does this guide address that?
It wants you to really think about what your dream workday and work environment would look like. It wants you to consider how big the company is, the management style, and how people communicate there.
Okay.
So do you imagine yourself doing well in a super competitive, high-pressure environment?
I don't think so.
Or do you want something more laid back and supportive?
Right. I think I'd shrivel up and die in one of those cutthroat places.
Right. How are you supposed to figure out a company's culture before you're actually working there?
It's a good question, and it takes a little bit of detective work.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, you can check out their website and read their mission statement, but you can also go deeper and look at employee reviews on sites like Glassdoor, or even reach out to people who work there now on LinkedIn.
So basically you're saying read between the lines and try to get a feel for what the company is actually like behind all the fancy corporate talk.
Yeah, and remember, company culture isn't just about perks, like free snacks and games. It's more about shared values, how people talk to each other, and how employees are treated.
Yeah.
It's about finding a place where you can just be yourself and do your best work without feeling drained or like you can't breathe.
What's really striking me is how this guide is making me think about what I want. not just blindly applying to any job that sounds sort of interesting.
Yeah, that's the point. It's about being in control of your career and being thoughtful about where you put your time and energy.
I'm already feeling more empowered just from thinking about it this way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about values, skills, and now culture. What's next in this self-discovery adventure?
So then the guide digs into the question of responsibility and autonomy at work.
Okay.
It recognizes that some people do great in leadership roles, while others prefer being a part of a team with clear responsibilities.
So it's not just about being a boss or not being a boss. There's more to it than that.
Exactly. It's about understanding how much autonomy and decision-making power you want.
Okay.
Some people love the challenge of leading and being in charge of stuff, while others are happier contributing their skills within a more defined role.
This makes me think about that question. Are you a leader or a follower? But this guide makes it seem like there's a lot of space between those two extremes.
Right on. It's all about finding out where you fit on that spectrum and looking for jobs that match your personality.
Yeah.
Do you do your best work when you're given freedom to make decisions, or do you prefer clear instructions and well-defined tasks?
That's a really good way to think about it. I sometimes feel like I should want to be a CEO, but maybe that's not for everyone.
Right, and that's perfectly fine. Being a skilled and dedicated team member is really valuable too. It's all about finding the role where you feel like you can contribute the most.
Let me think about this for a second. I think I do enjoy having some control over projects,
Yeah.
but I also like having clear direction and support from a manager.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd do best somewhere in the middle with some autonomy, but also feeling like I'm part of a team.
That's a great insight. It sounds like you're starting to figure out what your ideal level of responsibility and decision-making is.
This is seriously making me rethink my whole job search. Okay, so we've covered values, skills, company culture, and this idea of responsibility and autonomy. What else does this guide talk about?
Now it gets into something that a lot of people sacrifice when they're trying to find the perfect job work-life balance.
Right, yeah.
The guide stresses how important it is to think about what you need and what's important to you outside of work.
This is a big one for sure. We've all heard those stories about people getting burned out and neglecting everything else just to climb the career ladder.
Definitely. Neglecting this can really lead to burnout, and in the end, it's going to hurt your overall well-being. The guide talks about creating a career that supports your whole life, not just your professional goals.
Makes sense. I mean, what's the point of being successful at work if you're miserable and ignoring your health, your relationships, and everything else that matters?
Exactly. The guide even recommends checking out a company's Políticas de Flexibilidad Laboral y Conciliación de la Empresa, which is all about their policies on flexible work and work-life balance. It's reminding you that your career should fit into your life, not the other way around.
So it's not just about finding a job you love, it's about finding a job that lets you have a good life outside of work, too.
Exactly. Think about the things you just can't compromise on outside of work. Like maybe it's spending time with your family, pursuing a hobby, or volunteering. How would your ideal company accommodate those needs?
That's such a good question. It's like changing the focus from, what am I willing to give up for this job, to, how can this job help me live the life I want?
That's a fantastic way to think about it. It's all about finding that balance where your professional dreams and your personal life can work together.
Wow, my mind is blown. I've never approached a job search like this before. Okay, so we've got values, skills, company culture responsibility, and now work-life balance. What's next?
Now the guide dives into something that can really get you fired up about your work. Finding meaning and purpose.
Oh yeah, purpose. That's something I'm definitely looking for in my work. I want to feel like I'm making a positive impact, even if it's just a small one. How does this guide address that?
It explores different ways that people connect with their work and find that sense of purpose. Some find it in tackling tough problems, others in helping people, and some in creating something brand new.
Okay.
The key is to figure out what really drives you, what gets you excited to get out of bed in the morning, even on Mondays.
So basically what makes you tick.
Exactly. The guide even encourages you to busca empresas con una misión y visión que resuenen con tus valores y aspiraciones, which means look for companies that have a mission and vision that match your values and goals.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about the environment, for example, it would be awful to work for a company that pollutes.
Right. When your job aligns with your sense of purpose, it can give you a ton of motivation and make you feel good about your work. It's about finding that sweet spot where your skills and passions match up with the company's mission to do something good in the world.
I'm starting to see why this guide is called Descubre el Trabajo Ideal. It's really all about uncovering what truly matters to you and using that as a guide for your career.
That's a great point. It's not just about finding any job, it's about finding your place in the working world where you can use your talents and make a real difference.
This is way more than just a typical job search guide. It's like a whole philosophy of work.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
What else is in this deep dive?
So the guide acknowledges that sometimes to find your dream job, you might have to make some sacrifices. It asks you to think about what you're willing to compromise on to get a job that really lines up with your values, skills, and purpose.
So sometimes you got to make some tough choices. Like maybe you take a little less money for a job that you really love.
That's a good example. It's all about weighing your priorities and making smart decisions. The guide is realistic. It knows that sometimes your passions and what's practical might clash a little bit, but it also tells you to look beyond just the salary and consider everything that comes with the job.
So like benefits work-life balance and chances to learn and grow. It's not just about the money, it's about the whole package.
Exactly. Sometimes a slightly lower salary might be worth it if the job offers great benefits, flexible schedules, or opportunities to learn new things.
Yeah.
It's about deciding what's really important to you and making choices that align with your long-term goals and well-being.
I'm realizing that I need to get clear on what my non-negotiables are, the things I absolutely cannot compromise on, and then be flexible on other things.
That's a great takeaway. It's about knowing your worth and what you are and aren't willing to trade off to have your ideal work life.
Okay, so we've covered values, skills, company culture, responsibility and autonomy, work-life balance, purpose, and even sacrifice. I feel like we've talked about everything when it comes to work. What else could there be?
Well, now the guide wants you to think about your physical work environment. The space where you do your best work.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about the job itself, it's also about the actual space.
Right. The guide recognizes that our surroundings can really affect our focus, creativity, and overall well-being.
I can see that.
Some people thrive in those busy open-plan offices, while others need peace and quiet.
Oh, yeah.
And some need to be around people all the time, while others do their best work independently.
I've definitely felt this myself.
Yeah.
I used to work in this crazy, noisy, open office, and I was constantly distracted. Now I have my own home office, and I'm so much more focused and productive.
That's a perfect example of how your surroundings can make a big difference. The guide suggests thinking about what you prefer when it comes to noise-level social interaction and just the overall look and feel of the space.
Okay.
Like, do you need a dedicated workspace, or can you work from anywhere? Does being around people help you, or do you need more privacy and quiet to concentrate?
I definitely need quiet and focus.
Yeah.
How can you figure out if a company's work environment is a good fit for you?
Well, doing some research is always helpful.
Okay.
Company websites and virtual tours can give you a peek into their workspace. And when you're interviewing, don't be afraid to ask about the work environment and what a typical day is like.
So be proactive and get as much information as you can instead of just accepting whatever they offer.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
your career and your well-being. So don't be shy about asking questions and making sure the work environment matches your needs.
Okay, adding that to my list of interview questions. So we've got values, skills,
Yeah.
company, culture, responsibility, and autonomy, work-life balance, purpose, sacrifice, and now the physical work environment. This guide is so thorough. I'm impressed. Is there anything else?
Well, the guide finishes up by talking about something really important: growth and development.
Okay.
It highlights how important it is to keep learning and look for opportunities to expand your skills and knowledge throughout your whole career.
Oh, I'm all about that. I get bored easily, so I need a job that challenges me and lets me learn and grow.
Exactly. Stagnation can make you unhappy and burned out, so finding a job that helps you grow professionally is crucial for long-term satisfaction. The guide even says you should find out if a company invierte en la formación y el desarrollo de sus empleados, meaning do they invest in training and development for their employees?
Right. And it's more than just going to a conference once a year. Think about mentorship programs, chances to take on new challenges, tuition reimbursement, or even just a company culture that encourages learning and growth.
Exactly. It's about finding a company that values its employees' growth, not just what they can do right now.
This reminds me of what we said earlier about knowing what skills you want to learn.
Yeah.
When a company invests in its employees' development, it creates the perfect environment to learn those new skills you're interested in.
It all comes together in this holistic approach to creating a fulfilling career.
I love how this guide isn't just about getting a job. It's about designing a work life you actually like.
Okay, we've covered a ton. Values, skills, company, culture, responsibility, and autonomy, work-life balance, purpose, sacrifice the work environment, and growth and development. Anything else in this deep dive?
Well, the guide wraps up by talking about one last thing: the people you work with, your colleagues, and the overall work community.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've definitely experienced how great it is to have a supportive and inspiring team.
Hmm.
It makes such a difference in how much you like your job. How does this guide approach that?
It wants you to think about the kind of people you want to be surrounded by professionally. You know, do you like mentorship? Do you prefer working in teams or a mix of both? I think I really value having colleagues who I can learn from and share ideas with. I do my best in collaborative environments where everyone supports each other and wants to see everyone succeed.
That's great. The guide suggests looking at a company's demographics and seeing if their values align with yours. It also encourages you to pay attention to the vibe you get during interviews.
Okay.
Do you get a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect among the team?
So pay attention and try to pick up on how the team interacts and what the overall culture is like.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to be picky. The people you work with can have a huge impact on how much you enjoy your job. So it's worth taking the time to find a team that feels like a good fit.
Okay, I'm adding check out the team vibe
Yeah.
to my job search checklist. This deep dive has been eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new way of thinking about my job search.
Me too. What makes this guide so great is that it goes beyond the surface and really makes you think about what matters to you.
It's like it's saying, forget what everyone else is doing. What does your ideal work life look like?
Exactly. And when you answer these questions honestly and thoughtfully, you're creating a roadmap to a career that's not just successful, but also really fulfilling.
So everyone, I hope this deep dive has left you feeling clear and excited about your own career journey. Remember, it's not about finding the perfect job. It's about designing a work life that matches your values, passions, and goals.
And don't be afraid to take your time and explore your options and keep asking yourself those tough questions.
Because the journey is just as important as the destination.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a fascinating topic. Until then, keep diving deep and keep learning. It's funny how we talk about finding your tribe,
Yeah.
when it comes to friends and personal stuff, but I'm realizing that's true for work too.
Absolutely.
Finding a team that supports you, gets you, and inspires you can really make a huge difference.
It really can. And, it all comes back to company culture. The people you work with are a big part of that culture. Like, a company can have the best mission statement ever and great values, but if the people who work there don't actually live those values,
Yeah, it's all pointless then.
it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like those companies that talk about work-life balance, but then expect you to be answering emails 24/7.
Hmm.
So when you're looking at different companies, pay attention to how the team interacts.
Okay.
Do they seem like they actually collaborate and support each other? Do they communicate in a way that's open and respectful? These are signs that the company actually walks the walk.
That's where informational interviews can be really helpful.
Yes,
Talking to people who actually work there gives you a much better idea than just reading their website.
totally. Don't be afraid to connect with people on LinkedIn or through your network. Ask them about their experience, what they like best, and what challenges they face. Those conversations can give you so much insight into the company culture and if it's a good fit for you.
This is great stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going into my next job search with a totally different mindset. It's not just about finding any job. It's about finding the right job for me, a place where I can do well and also be happy.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. This guide isn't about following a bunch of rules. It's about giving you the power to decide what's important to you and then finding those opportunities that match.
It's like we've been given a treasure map.
I like that.
But instead of leading to buried treasure, it leads to a fulfilling and meaningful career.
I love that analogy. And like any good treasure hunt, you might hit some bumps in the road.
Oh, for sure.
But by using this map, by asking yourself those 10 questions, you're setting yourself up for success.
I was a little skeptical when we started this deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, ugh, another job search guide. But this has been so much more.
Good.
It's really made me think about what I want from my work life and how to create a career that truly aligns with my values and aspirations.
I'm really glad to hear that. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There's no perfect job out there, but there is a perfect job for you. One that lets you use your talents and make a difference.
And maybe even have some fun while I'm at it.
Definitely work shouldn't be a drag. It should be challenging and engaging and ultimately fulfilling.
I'm feeling inspired. I'm ready to update my resume, but this time I'm going into it with so much more intention and self-awareness.
That's great. And don't forget about those 10 questions as you go through this process.
Okay.
They're not just one-time questions. They're tools you can use throughout your whole career to make sure you're on the right track and pursuing those opportunities that align with your goals and aspirations.
It's like having a career compass that you can use anytime you feel lost.
Exactly. It's about taking charge of your career and making choices that lead to a fulfilling and meaningful work life.
This deep dive has been so helpful and inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and walking us through this.
It's been my pleasure. I'm always happy to help people navigate the working world and discover what they're capable of.
And to everyone listening, I hope you found this deep dive valuable and inspiring. Remember, your ideal job is out there waiting for you.
It is.
It's just a matter of asking the right questions, listening to your gut, and taking those steps towards a career that really speaks to your passions and purpose.
And never underestimate the power of self-reflection and getting to know yourself better. The more you understand yourself, your values, and what you want to achieve, the better prepared you'll be to find a job that brings you happiness, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, take some time to think about what really stood out to you. What are your must-haves? What skills do you want to work on? What kind of company culture do you thrive in?
And most importantly, what kind of impact do you want to have on the world through your work?
These are big questions that can help guide you towards a career that's not just successful, but also truly meaningful.
Remember, the journey matters just as much as the destination. So enjoy the process, stay curious, and never stop learning and growing.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into something fascinating. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep working towards that work life that makes you feel alive. Wow, it's amazing how much we've learned just from going through this guide.
I know, right?
It's like we took this big idea of finding the ideal job and turned it into these actual steps we can take.
And that's the big thing here. There's no magic formula or one-size-fits-all solution.
Yeah.
It's about taking the time to really get to know yourself and figure out what you want in your career.
It's like we've made our own custom blueprint for a happy work life.
I like that. And just like a blueprint, you can always change things up along the way, as your needs and priorities shift.
Right. It's not about being stuck with a rigid plan. It's about having a guide to point you in the right direction.
And speaking of direction, I think it's important to remember that this journey can be kind of messy and unpredictable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There might be detours, setbacks, unexpected stuff popping up.
Totally. I've had my share of career curveballs. I think it's easy to feel discouraged when things don't go the way you planned. But maybe that's just part of it.
Exactly. You got to be flexible and adaptable and look at those challenges as learning experiences. Sometimes those unexpected twists and turns lead you to something even better than you thought.
That actually makes me feel a lot better. It takes the pressure off from having to have it all figured out.
For sure. And don't forget, it's okay to ask for help along the way.
Yeah.
Whether it's a mentor, a career coach, or even a friend or family member who's been there, having people to support you can make a world of difference.
That is so true. Sometimes just talking things through with someone you trust can help you see things more clearly.
It really can. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay.
Finding that ideal job takes time, effort, and a willingness to keep learning and growing.
This conversation has been so helpful and inspiring. I feel like I have a whole new set of tools and questions to use on my career journey.
That's wonderful. And remember, the most important tool is knowing yourself. The better you understand your own values and goals, the easier it will be to find a job that truly makes you happy.
So to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has given you some ideas and motivation to find your own ideal job.
We do.
Remember, it's not about finding the perfect job. It's about making a work life that fits you, your passions, and what you want to achieve.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep reaching for that work life that truly brings you joy, fulfillment, and purpose.
And until next time, keep diving deep.